lot of you have been asking for this video, and it has finally arrived as I promised. As we get started with fall practice, we're all wondering who is going to be the Auburn football quarterback for 2022. I'm going to offer my perspectives on the race and the percentage confidence, the final prediction for who will be the starting quarterback and the reasons behind each of them finding themselves in the race. So going back all the way to the end of the 2021 season, as soon as we knew that Bo Nix was leaving, we began the speculation of who was going to be the quarterback for Auburn football. And we've even done two previous videos, one on the onset of spring and one after spring practice and the spring game, updating my personal percentage confidence of who was going to be the quarterback at that particular time with the context that we had. So you can go back and check those videos out. We'll have some links available for you in the description if you'd like to do so, to either make me eat crow because some of the things I said there, or just to hear my perspectives of where things were at that point. But now is the time that we make our final predictions, because the odds are they're probably going to be naming one very, very soon for us if they haven't already by the time that you're watching this. So for this video, what we're going to do is first take a look at where we've come from with those previous two videos and the percentage confidence that we had at that time. Then we're going to take a look at each of the candidates for quarterback, give you some reasons by where we're thinking they might be at this point, and then obviously our percentage confidence of who will be the starting quarterback right now. So looking back at the very beginning of this thing, the quarterbacks that we knew we had on hand at the time. In our first video, we did TJ Finley with a 35% chance confidence of winning the starting job, Zach Calzada with 35% chance, Demetrius Davis with a 25% chance, and then Holden Garner with a 5% chance at that time. How things have changed, we'll talk about in just a minute here about players that left. But a lot of this is kind of what we saw, a new face coming in along with TJ Finley, the heir apparent. So it wasn't very surprising to have some of those numbers laid out the way that they did. The thing that got interesting though is when we did our post-spring game video, some interesting things had transpired up to that point. The first of which, Demetrius Davis left the program. Now, again, we hate that he wasn't able to end his time here at Auburn, but I think it was for his best interest that he moved on to another opportunity, and we wish him all the luck in the world. On top of him leaving, Auburn added another quarterback to the mix in Robby Ashford, deciding to come in and compete in spring practice and in the spring game, and boy, did he make some waves there. So in that video, we ended with a percentage confidence for TJ Finley down to 30%. Zach Calzada went down to 25%. And a lot of you are like, what? We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Robby Ashford shot himself away all the way up to 30%. And then Holden Garner also went up to 15%. So that is where we stood as of doing this video. Let's talk about the updated thoughts and percentages now. Let's start with Holden Garner. This is probably one of the more obvious options here. Not a lot of people expect him or expected him at any point to be the starter, although I don't think you can ignore that he's quite a talent. So when you got here, you're a true freshman, right? The natural progression of things, you're a true freshman, you pay your dues, and then eventually you can earn your starting job. So that's what everybody expects out of him. Now, we've seen a true freshman do it before, Bo Nix, whether you like him or not. He was the best option at the time that we had him, but that's happened before. So we can't eliminate it out of the realm of possibility, especially after his spring game. His spring game, he showed an incredible amount of maturity with the lack of experience that he has here at the collegiate level that I was very surprised by. So that is why we bumped him up the way we did in that second video. But now, things have kind of cooled off this summer. There's not been a lot of things we're hearing or seeing about him, and we're hearing more and seeing more about others. So that leads you to believe that the original narrative is true, that we're probably not going to see Holden Garner a lot this year, if at all. So he'll probably be redshirting. So I'm going to do 5% chance just because I don't want to completely eliminate him from an option. Let's talk about our boy Robby Ashford, who has got the heart of the fans. And why wouldn't you, right? He's the local kid that came back home from Oregon. People view him as the trade with some other players for Bo Nix with Oregon. It's just a feel-good story of coming back. He's a Hoover guy, so not too far away from Auburn, Alabama. It just is kind of a feel-good story. And he's that traditional kind of fun and gun quarterback that we have grown used to here at Auburn, although it's been under a different offensive scheme. We just are kind of used to it and like that. So that's why you see that propensity, the local aspect and the familiarity to the type of quarterback he is the reason why Auburn fans latch on him so heavily, and rightfully so. So he comes in, You probably don't expect him to be the starter, just kind of an interesting option there. But then in his spring game, showed some flashes of just brilliance and having fun out there and just made Auburn fans smile. So that's why we launched him up even as an initial part of these percentage opportunities in that second video to be as high as he did. Similar to Holden Garner though, we've stopped hearing a lot other than just fan speculation. Outside of that, I do think that his chances have dropped, but he's still much higher than Holden Garner right now. So I'm going to put him at about 25%, which is down for him, but not by much, simply because there's just so much competition and so much talent in this field. I think there's probably one or two options that might find themselves ahead of him at this moment. Let's talk about TJ Finley. Boy, what a journey it's been for TJ. TJ came in as the grass is greener type of situation for a lot of fans that hated on Bo. And TJ was the best option, but then when he got there was a lot of backtracking and eating of words and things like that. I love TJ, and I can't thank him enough for what he did for Georgia State game especially, and many other opportunities he stepped in, and he played hurt at the end of the season too. I think TJ has won the respect and should have won the respect of a lot of Auburn fans and his teammates, and should be considered a viable option at quarterback for us. Now, listen, let's talk about this. As the heir apparent, the most senior guy, the most experienced guy, that makes a lot of sense. The issue is he had some mechanical issues that we could even see as fans, but he's had a whole year to work on those things, and that could have gotten better. The thing is, I think a lot of people were hoping to see just something to give them a little bit extra encouragement about him. And in the spring game, while he had a solid one, it really wasn't super spectacular aside from a handful of plays, in my opinion. So I don't know that he did enough to kind of push himself out in front of the field, especially with the guy we'll talk about in just a second, to really make him the absolute starter for the Auburn Tigers. So for that reason, I've got to only give him about a 30% chance of being the starter for Auburn. It's the exact same that he came out of that second video. I didn't really want to bump him down, but I also couldn't really give him any increases. But I would not be upset if he was the starter because I trust the coaches and what they've been doing working with him. And finally, that brings us to Zach Calzada. Now, when we've been discussing this on our Wednesday night, 8 p.m. live streams a lot, I've been very upfront about this when I was saying we were going to do this video. We kind of all feel we know this is going, right? Zach Calzada is going to be the starter. That's what we all think. That's what we all feel like we have the information that says that. It just kind of makes sense. However, as I've stressed, do not eliminate any of these guys from this competition. And it just speaks to the level of talent that we have. But let's talk about Zach Calzada. Comes in as kind of a surprise transfer for us. And a lot of that was thanks to somewhat offensive coordinator Austin Davis, who quickly left about as soon as he got here. And so it kind of left Zach Calzada in this weird situation. He was brought in for this one particular offensive coordinator who immediately left. He's stuck here. He's trying to get better from his injury that he had in the previous season. So that kind of left him in this weird limbo where a lot of people assume he's probably likely going to be a heavy contention for the starter, but will he be completely healthy? All that stuff. Didn't even compete in the spring game. It's even why we kind of dropped him down at that point. Since then, we've seen a lot of videos, a lot of information, discussions from reporters and things like that about how much he's improved injury-wise and in everything else that a quarterback needs to improve in the offseason. So it really does seem like the tea leaves, if you want to call it that, are falling and dropping towards his direction, whatever prediction format you want to use. I do think it's going to be Zach Calzada. For that reason, I'm going to give him a 40% chance of confidence that he's going to be the starter. Now, listen, obviously a lot of people think that should be higher, but you got to recognize that there are very viable options around him that could easily take the job from him, especially if that injury is not as good as we thought as it might be appearing on a video. However, I'm excited for this quarterback race, and I'm excited for the potential of what they all could do for Auburn, especially I think we're going to be doing multiple different people out there in different sets. So in summary, our final projections for the quarterback race at Auburn are as stands. Holden Geriner, 5%. Robby Ashford, 25%. TJ Finley, 30%. And at 40%, the likely starter that we most expect, that would be Zach Calzada. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below about what I had to say here, my predictions, and share yours as well. If there's a reason that you think somebody else will start, please share that below. And just keep in mind, folks, there are people that watch this that are very close, if not directly related, or even the quarterbacks themselves. So if you have criticism for them, keep it constructive. We're all part of the Auburn family after all. Before you head out of here, if you enjoyed this type of content, please do make sure you smash the like button. And if you haven't, please do subscribe along with hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any of our uploads or live streams. A lot of content here in football season that you do not want to miss. If you want to find ways to help support our content, such as listed in the description, you can look at joining the Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network, or it's as simple as hitting the join button here for $1 a month to be a channel member. But check out all those links down there below. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where we cover the whole of the Auburn experience. War Eagle.